ランディよ。さあ。
25 years after its original release, Square Enix is revisiting the Super Nintendo classic Secret of Mana with a brand new remake. This latest version manages to retain much of the original charm, but is marred by a few technical issues, while missing the opportunity to make some simple improvements.
どうやら本物の聖剣らしいな。大変なことになった。
The story revolves around Randy, a young boy who obtains the legendary Mana Sword. After being expelled from his village for taking the sword, he sets out on a journey to restore its power and save the world.
おお、ランディ。
Along his journey, Randy is joined by Prim, a feisty girl with a wealthy family, and Popoi, a mischievous sprite that lives with dwarves. While each character has their own motivation for joining the party, like Prim, who is searching for her lost love Dilek, none of their story payoffs are really that interesting or engaging. This is a trend that also carries over to the main story, where much of the plot feels slow and forgettable until the very end of the game. Additional characters throughout the game aren't that appealing either, aside from maybe one or two like Watts, the dwarf blacksmith. What's nice is that the relationships among the main party members are given more development thanks to some new cutscenes that play out while resting at inns. Although these conversations aren't really that important to the overall plot, it's still nice to get a better sense of their relationships. The Secret of Mana remake replaces the original sprites in favor of 3D models. This can be a strength in some areas, like being able to better convey a character's expression or allowing more in-depth cutscenes, but the low-poly models and lack of overall detail looks cheap on modern hardware. It seems safe to assume that the Vita is the target platform, with little thought put towards the PC or PS4. The soundtrack for Secret of Mana on the SNES is one of its greatest strengths. The remake does a good job at capturing the spirit of the original while still having an identity of its own. Tracks like Fear of the Heavens and Into the Thick of It are particular standouts. If you prefer the original, there's also an option to change the music to the SNES version. Unlike most Super Nintendo RPGs, combat plays out in real time. The combat is mostly simple, but there are a few things like charge attacks and positioning that can add a bit of strategy. There's also a rhythm to combat since the game takes a certain amount of time to register attacks on a foe. For instance, Prim may hit an enemy and you'll attack right after, but fail to inflict any damage. It's a strange design that results in a lot of waiting, but it's not too bad once you get the hang of it. Magic can also be unlocked for Prim and Popoi. Prim focuses on support like healing and buffs, while Popoi handles offensive spells like Fireball and Lightning. Thankfully, magic can now be hotkeyed to 2 different buttons, making it much smoother to fire off consecutive spells. This is especially handy since most of the boss fights come down to dealing constant damage with Popoi and healing with Prim. Like the original release, the AI of your party members is not that great. At least now you have a few more tools available, allowing you to instruct your party to attack different enemies than you, or to have them use powered-up attacks. However, the main problems still remain, where party members get stuck on walls or stand directly in the line of fire. Luckily, you can quickly switch between party members with the D-pad, but it's frustrating how much you have to do this, especially in dungeons. Coinciding with this are random technical issues such as game crashes or half the screen going black, so be sure to save often in case you lose progress. Even though the AI can be frustrating, the Secret of Mana remake thankfully retains the option for drop-in, drop-out local co-op. It's by far the best way to play since 3 friends can control characters individually. This makes combat and moving around the world all the more streamlined since you don't need to manage all 3 characters by yourself. Be advised though, the co-op won't become available until either Prim or Popoi join up with Randy. While items and armor can be purchased in shops like most RPGs, new weapons can only be obtained by progressing in the story. There are a wide variety of weapons to choose from, like swords, bows, axes, and spears. Some weapons also have unique benefits like the whip, which allows the player to hook across gaps, and the axe, which can cut through certain obstacles like rocks. These weapons can be upgraded by finding corresponding orbs and taking them to the blacksmith. They can also be switched between party members on the fly if you prefer particular weapons for each character. The Secret of Mana remake adds a few good things, like hotkeys and cutscenes, but it fails to improve upon some of the most notable flaws of the 1995 original. The adventure that so many people fell in love with is still there at its heart, but this version fails to show it off in the best light.
申し訳ない。
Easy Allies reviews are made possible by generous viewers just like you. If you like what you see, check out patreon.com/easyallies to see our other videos. And consider becoming a patron to help us make more.